All right, here we go. We're back in again. Let's wait and see when people come over. Here we go. Take two, Suze. How's that sound? You were fast. Goodness me. That was really fast. Can you hear me okay, Suze? Is it not cutting out now? Hey, Christopher. Tell me, is it cutting out? This shouldn't be like this is exactly the same as what I do every day. So I have no idea why. Is it better? Take two, Maria. Does it sound better? All right, good. It's okay. Okay is like saying, oh, he's nice. Okay, there you go. I don't like, it's like, oh, he's nice. You're like, nice? Like, you don't never tell a woman that they're nice. Like, always tell them that they're beautiful or go rant. Listen, I'm not ranting because you know what? I realized the other day I came on, I was so outraged by what was going on and this ridiculousness that's going on by the left and the rhetoric by the left. I'm like, you know what? This is ridiculous. So anyway, I'm going to start over. So here's the thing. As I was saying before, I had some criticism from people saying, you know, about Tim Clemente. And it's absurd to think that people that are in the FBI, in the intelligence services, right, are all bad. It's clearly not true, right? So people there's someone came on and they said, hey, you know, Tim Clemente, he was in an institution that's part of the problem, or he works with the part of the problem. Like, of course, people didn't go into the FBI thinking, I'm going to be a part of the deep state. Hey, everyone. You guys are so fast. It's unbelievable. So can we just put that aside to 1 minute? Because I've also got into it with people about what happened on September the 11th, because Tim was there. Like, Tim turned up to the Pentagon just after the plane hit. And there was a bunch of people that were like, he's a liar, you know, he's part of the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, guys, come on. Right? Just don't let your ideology trump what someone else might say. Right? Like, I can tell you, hey, Debs, I can tell you that Tim Clemente is a man of character. There's no reason. I could go into it, but I won't. Like, the stuff that he sacrificed, it's a lot. So let's not go down that route of saying, oh, there's an FBI agent, therefore or former FBI agent, he's part of the problem. That's absurd. It's absurd. I know people who are in the intelligence agencies. I mean, look, you look at someone like Jack Posobiec, right? Jack Posobiec was in the intelligence agencies. It's not, he's a good man, right? He's a good man, and there are plenty of good men in there that have been there for a long time, and they might think, well, you know what, I can't do anything about that. Or maybe they think, you know, I can work from the inside to change it. So I think that I would just respectfully ask for us not to turn into leftists and just put people in giant blocks and say, you know, because they're in the FBI. Like I said, because I was in Hollywood didn't make me like the rest of those lunatics, right? There's a lot of people in there. They might, like I said, they might not have the courage or the motivation. I tend to think that the country is at risk. I really do. And I could see that a long time ago. Again, by the way, I think that if you study story, right? Like, I have read thousands of scripts. So I know the way the story is going to go. I'm very rarely surprised, right? And a lot of the time when there's surprises in there, they're manufactured and they don't feel right. And it feels like someone's put it in just for shock value or whatever it might be, right? So when you're looking at a story, you can normally follow it to its conclusion, right? And I think that works in real life as well. For the most part. I mean, sometimes it can go off, but you know, you can look at something and say, well, I can kind of predict 80% how it's going to end. But anyway, a few things really struck me, as I mentioned yesterday, and this is for all the people that didn't tune in yesterday as well, and what's happened this morning. Because I do want to bring a couple of things up, because I still haven't figured out, like, I haven't had time to figure out like how I bring up tweets on this and show you, but I'm just going to read one to you. So I think nobody's become as absolutely disappointing. Well, there's a few people out there that are disappointing to me, people that I know, people that I've worked with, and their rhetoric is just illogical and very emotional, and I don't understand that. I don't understand it. Whenever I talk about the left, I'm talking about leftists, right? I'm not, Democrats, and when you talk about Democrats, it's the politicians. I don't really think, for the most part, that traditional Democrats are down with what's going on. I just think a lot of people aren't engaged, which is why I keep saying like and subscribe, right? Because it shows that you're engaged. But John Cleese came out and he responded to someone who said, John, for guidance of your compass, watch which people are behind Kamala. You know who they are. And John Cleese replies, everyone I know, I'm afraid, but they do tend to be college educated. I mean, are you saying that this is like college educated, so they're indoctrinated? Because that's what I think. I think you've got to be very, very careful these days to send your kids to college. Where you send your kids to college, if you send them to college at all. You've heard me go on about this quite a lot, about, they're coming for me. No, that's it. I'm not in England. I didn't post a meme that would offend them. So the police aren't coming for me yet. But I do, every now and then, like, the platform X is just it's just the gift that keeps on giving, right? So Jim Acosta, if you saw his interview with JD Vance, which was just like JD Vance just completely dismantled and destroyed him. And you could see he was just ruffled. And so what you've got is, which is really great, forever you saw Republicans kind of like dodge a question or kind of like try and be nice. And JD Vance is like, I know you guys aren't going to give me the fair rub of the green, so I'm just going to go for it, right? And he just dismantled him. But here's an interesting post, whatever. Jim Acosta put, right now on CNN, Vice President Harris speaking to reporters now about Trump rally at MSG last night. Is it me? Am I the only one when they say MSG? I'm like monosodium glutamate. I'm like, it's very bad for you. It's in Chinese food. Bloat. Yeah. And then I tweeted, let me guess, blah, 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 white supremacy, blah, 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 Nazis, blah, blah, racists, right? I mean, if you're going to do this, right, just do a little bit of research, right? And this woman goes, Shelley's, Kelly's, cheese and jellies. So I'm sure it's a real person. No. No. After last night, she could be more specific. You and your fellow incel chodes clearly articulated that Puerto Ricans are garbage, all black people like watermelon, Latinos are promiscuous, and all immigrants are trash. Own it. Embrace it. Wear it like an anchor around your neck. I mean, this is just funny, right? I mean, it's just funny. So let's look into this a bit, right? So you and your fellow incels. Now, I don't know. I have 9 children. So I'm pretty sure at least one woman touches me. I'm not like, you calling me an incel. I have 9 children. Clearly articulated that Puerto Ricans are garbage. No, that's actually not that I'm into defending anyone, but this guy, what's his name? He's a roaster. He roasts everybody. And what he was talking about, if you take like 5 seconds to look, there is a garbage crisis right now in Puerto Rico. PBS actually reported on it. All right. Didn't say Puerto Ricans, he said the island. And if you would have gone to Italy in the lockdowns, you'd have seen that there were places in Italy where they hadn't come for the trash. Because I don't know if it's because the trash collectors like went on strike or something, but they didn't have trash, and it was just a crap hole. There was filth in the streets everywhere. That's not calling a group of people garbage. And you know, he said something about carving watermelons, right? Here's the thing. I've never understood this, because who doesn't like watermelon, right? Like, who doesn't like watermelon? I've never understood that. Maybe it's because I grew up in the UK and I come over here and people talk about like watermelons and fried chicken. I'm like, who doesn't like fried chicken? Who doesn't like watermelon? I don't know. Like, to me, it's a little bit weird. But I understand that there's like racial undertones. Is it undertones or maybe overtones to that? But he is a roaster. He's the guy. He doesn't care. That's not reflective of anyone's policies or anything like that, right? I mean, maybe it was, you could say, well, you know, it's off color. But here's the thing. If the left hadn't have just thrown everything all the time and called us Nazis and called us everything, maybe that would have been a scandal. But all it becomes now is just noise, right? That's all it becomes. And nobody on the right now goes, I don't care. I just don't care. I just don't care anymore, because you guys say stuff about us anyway, so I don't care. See, that's really bad, right? We should care about certain things, but we've got to a point where they have vilified us so much, nobody gives a damn anymore. Like I said, you know, what's Kamala saying? The white supremacist, Nazi, blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares. It just doesn't mean anything anymore. And like me and Tim got into yesterday when we were talking about how dangerous that is. It is really, really, really dangerous to call people Nazis. It's not a joke. I also saw something that Ice Cube said. He was like, I can't believe that all these people around me were really racist. Maybe they're not. Maybe it's just you, dude. Maybe you're not like reading into what people are saying. Maybe you're not listening to what people are saying. Maybe they are racist. I don't know. But you just figured that out. I don't know. I've never been around people for years and years and years, and for them to become my friends and then all of a sudden go, oh, they're racist. I don't know. Maybe it's me. I kind of figure that out within like the first 5 minutes, and then I'm not around them. So here's the thing, just recapping, like this morning, it didn't get any better, right? This morning, they didn't go, you know what, we should probably tone down the rhetoric, you know, because it's not good to call a whole bunch of people Nazis, like literal Nazis. But they don't care. It doesn't matter to them. And as I said with Tim yesterday, to recap, it's bad on so many different levels, because number one, what it does is it dehumanizes and not delegitimizes, but it diminishes the Holocaust. It really does. And that is horrendous. You know, 6 million Jews killed in Nazi Germany, and you're calling people that you don't like Nazis, which, by the way, I don't know if you saw, there's a bunch of Israel flags in there. And there's a bunch of Jews there. So it's like when they call black people white supremacists, because they're like, I don't want to vote for the Democrats anymore. We've just got to a point where it's all silliness. But it moves into a dangerous territory when you realize that you've got lunatics that aren't mentally all there that really believe that, right? Because I said this before when talking about, like, the Salem witch trials and the persecutions and everything. If you were back then, you truly thought that that person was a witch, what would you do? Like, if you want to go back, like, mentally, and even when they dunked the witches, right, on those dunks, that was kind of one that was always kind of like, well, if you died, then you weren't a witch, and if you lived, then you were a witch. I'm like, kind of screwed there, aren't you? You know what I mean? Like, not a good ending. But if you thought that I mean, that was obviously ridiculous. But I mean, if you thought that someone was a witch and they could cast spells on you, what would you do? What is the appropriate response to that? It's to kill them. So what is the appropriate response to literal Nazis? Well, we already know what that is because we did it in the Second World War. Because they are evil. Nazis are evil. They were evil. Anyone that's around now is evil. It's funny how they kind of like give communism, people wear like those shirts with the hammer and sickle, or they'll wear like Shea shirts. I'm like, these guys are just disgusting. They're just despicable people. And it's weird how they don't equate communism with evil like they do the Nazis, because they're both as evil. In fact, the communists have killed way more. Both evil, both shouldn't get a pass. Certainly both shouldn't be equated with people that you disagree with and other Americans. That is horrendous. So I don't know how we come back from this. I don't. I genuinely don't. I don't know how the country moves forward and unites. And it's not from our side. It's not from our side. And the gaslighting is really remarkable. I say this quite a bit, that their stupidity or their gaslighting is so... It's almost impressive. Their cognitive dissonance is so great, it's almost impressive. I almost feel like applauding it. But you have people on television, like saying people, you got sitting congressmen saying that this is a Nazi rally. So you are meant to represent everyone in your state, right, or in your area, like senators, everyone in their state, congressmen in their areas. And you telling me there's not one place in America, I don't think, that is fully one way, right? That's fully all like conservative or fully all liberal. So at some point, you're going to be calling people that are in your constituency Nazis. It's very serious. And we've already seen the fact that if you truly think that Trump is a Nazi, which, by the way, nobody on the right would ever vote for him if they thought that was true. Nobody would. Even in these circumstances. But if you really think that Trump is a Nazi and he's going to do what the Nazis did, and they keep saying it, I feel sometimes like I'm in some kind of like in the Matrix or something like that. Because I can't believe that they're saying what they're saying. Like, it's so bad. It's the same thing over in the UK. I'm going to touch on that a bit, right? Like, they're saying if you're a nationalist, you're a fascist. No, that's not true. You can like your own country. And it's funny because these people like everything but their own country. Especially when you're talking about a certain religion. Can't call that anything because you're evil. And look, are there people that are frustrated? Are there people that might be on these rallies? In the UK, I'm saying they're a racist. Yeah. Yeah, there are. But is that the majority of them? No, it's not at all. These people are just completely frustrated. And Richard Tice absolutely does not understand the tone of the room that he's in. It's going to be really bad over there. And you know, I just can't stand it. You know, when you see people, you know, if there's a Muslim march, right? You're like, okay, well, what are you marching for? All right. Is there real persecution? Has there been anything bad happening like that is justified for you? Like, I don't think that people going and marching for bloody Palestine. Like, what? Like, that's not your country. All right, you can go do it, but it's not your country. So why are you getting all het up about it? I'm a Catholic. And by the way, there's a bunch of Christians out there there's a bunch of Christians in Palestine as well. I was going to say Palestine because they like saying that. In Israel, there's a bunch of Christians there as well. But it's a different thing, right? Like, I recognize what's going on there. But again, why is it that we have to listen to what everyone else has to say? And when someone says, I love my country, I don't like the direction it's going in, all of a sudden they're racist, white supremacists. It doesn't matter even if they're black, right? And they're like, hang on a second, I love my country. There are multiple Sikhs, by the way, a few of which I follow on X that are just super solid dudes. And they're like, I don't want this. This is pulling away from what I believe is the essence and core of what this country stands for. Somehow they're white supremacists. It's just utter communist tactics. And you got to see it for what it is, because even the useful idiots don't recognize it. They can't see it. They think it's all for them. They don't recognize that they're being used. They don't recognize that. They don't see that. And for the most part, like I said, when it comes to like me, and people go, you're a grifter. I'm like, really? I'm a grifter. Why? How am I a grifter? I've only lost money through opening my mouth, right? I've only lost opportunities. I lost money by not taking, you know what? Look at this. I've got to put this up, guys. Debs Scots-Lass. She is awesome. If you get a membership from Debs Scots-Lass, you better go over there and thank that amazing lady. She is amazing. Debs, you are awesome. I'm going to leave that up there for a bit because you're so awesome. So I just feel like there's a real, again, I've said it 1,000 times, like I feel like there's a massive lack of common sense out there. Like people just, everything seems to be so extreme. Everything seems to be so emotional. And there doesn't seem to be much, you know, it's like the adults have left the room and they've left the kids there to like scream at each other. And there's one kid in the corner going, what are you talking about? I don't want your toy. You see it all the time. But now we are really moving into serious territory because, you know, we've said it before. We've seen the way that the left acts, how they commandeer the language, right? And I said this morning, it's so funny. I'm like, Joe Biden isn't a real Catholic. He can say he's all he wants, but he's not. Who are you to judge? But I'm not judging anybody. I'm just going on what the church says. And by the definition of what the church says, he's not a Catholic. Who made you God? And they always do it with like a small g. I'm like, nobody did. And certainly not me. But I'm just trying to tell you that there's a lot of this, right? You can call yourself something. It doesn't make it so. We saw this with the rock and rollers, right? The rock and rollers were such rebels. Better take this or you're not coming to my concert. Such frauds. Like that. It's quite amazing, actually. It's quite amazing how these people have been completely exposed for the frauds that they are. Right? It's just unbelievable. Hope and change. Hope. Unless you don't like what I say, then no hope. Tolerance. You should be tolerant of other people. What about me? Because I actually believe XYZ. Not that hater! Hang on a minute. Like 5 minutes ago, everyone thought this. Now we've got to sit down and swallow your BS, your made up world that you live in. When there are no stakes, it's easy to live in that world. But like I said yesterday, when you get to a point where, for example, DEI, I'll guarantee you this, man, because I'll tell you this, a lot of the Hollywood people, they treat their money like conservatives do. Trust me, they do. They're trying to get out as many taxes as they can. It's a joke. It's an utter joke. They are such hypocrites. Again, the Martha's Vineyard episode was one of the most illuminating things, right? You'll see. Same thing with like believe all women, unless it's somebody that they disagree with, then you don't believe in them. And what is a woman anyway? There's no logic. There's no consistency. And what follows that is chaos. So, the adults in the room have to turn around and say, well, listen, we've got to do something about this. And this is where we are right now. We're really at a tipping point. And in a few days, it's going to be insane. It's going to be insane. As I said yesterday, they're still going to try and kill Trump. The violence is going to be crazy. Like right now, they're like, nothing's going on. Just wait till the deportations start. It's going to be awesome, though. I'll tell you, it's going to be so great. So great. We're going to have the 80s again, guys. We're going to have the 80s again. We're going to have positivity. Things are going to be good again. It's going to be bumpy. But this time the communists are not in Soviet Russia. They're in America. And they're going to expose themselves. By the way, did you see, I saw something today. Just want to point this out for the Brits that are watching. That Jeremy Corbyn, who I cannot stand, came out and he said, you guys are taking away the cap on £2 bus routes. Of course they are. Of course they're taking that off because they don't care about the people. The Democrats and Labour are the party of the elite. It's changed. It's not the way it was anymore. It's changed. If you really, really believed, what would you do? What would you do if you really believed in climate change? Or should I say global warming? Because I believe in climate change. I believe the climate changes. Do I believe in man-made climate change? What they say? No, I don't. Because the evidence does not back it. And don't give me some ridiculous school project that says 99% climate change scientists, who, by the way, absolutely need their grants from the government. Agree on that. Fancy that. It's like Congress. It's almost as if they look after themselves. Fancy that. Meanwhile, you guys have to do all this stupid shit like you can't have an oven, right? You can't have a gas oven or whatever it is. It's just ridiculous. But if you cared about the environment, you would lower the price of bus journeys. You would lower the price of trains. If anything should be subsidized, it should be that. But they're full of crap because it's not true. They don't believe in it. In the same way the Tories knew that like all the stuff is what's this? I'm pulling this up. Honesty and Truth said, Corbyn, I didn't want any supper anyway. No kidding. No kidding. Right? Oh, look at this. This is amazing. Morgan has gifted 1 Matthew Marsden channel membership. We are growing, guys. We're growing. This is awesome. And you know what? We're growing by just speaking common sense because it's not that common anymore. Right? So we're building the team, right? And building strength. Like I said, it's great having that rugged individuals, right? Rugged individualism. It's great. It's great. But it doesn't work when you're in the foxhole. And we're there right now. Like if you guys haven't spoken to your neighbors about what might happen if something really bad happens, well, that's on you, right? You do need each other in these situations. So you can be a rugged individual, but you also need a team. Right? You really do. Really need a team. And that doesn't take anything away from your individualism at all. You know, it's like with those special operations guys, they all work together, but they all powwow about what they're going to do. And then it's left up to them to find the best solution. That's what we should be doing. But we are in a situation right now where they literally posted, and I don't know, I wish that Elon would go after every person and sue them who did that, because there's no consequences for these people. And this is why I fight back. That's why I push back. Because they're just emboldened. They think they can say whatever they want, and they can't. There's consequences to this. I'm very, very careful about what I say, about what I tweet. I never berate like someone's career. Never do that. Because I'm not that kind of a person. I can disagree with someone without getting into ad hominem attacks. But it's always, and you got to remember this, guys, they are never, ever going to engage you on the issues. You've seen this over and over and over again with Ben Shapiro, with Charlie Kirk, with Stephen Crowder. You know, they'll get into it a little bit because they think they're smarter than you because, you know, like John Cleese said, college educated, right? And then they realize that they have no argument, and then they abuse you, right? So that's the progression, right? That's the progression. And Paul here just says, I will not associate myself with the neighbors I have. It wouldn't be wise. I feel you, dude. I understand. But what I'm saying is you've got to find your people. It's like we're finding our people on here and we're coming together and we have this little discussion and, you know, look at things and kind of dismantle them a little bit so we're not all going mental, like looking and going, what is going on? Imagine what it's like for me. I had to deal with that all the time on set. And that's the thing, is that they won't just leave you alone. It's not enough for them to just leave you alone. What on earth was that? Something just banged behind me. But that's the problem. Hey, bye, Debs. Good to see you. The misconception is if you don't do anything, they'll leave you alone. The misconception is if you keep quiet, they'll leave you alone. It's not the case. It's not the case. As I said before, you might not feel like you're at war with them, but they absolutely feel like they're at war with you. They think that we are evil. How can you call a bunch of people, even if there was like a Kamala Harris rally, right? I would never call them all communists. I would never say that. I'm like, okay, a few people wanted to go to the rally. All right. That's their prerogative. There are a whole host of reasons why people would go to a rally. And the one thing I do know is that I don't know anybody who thinks that Donald Trump is a fascist. I don't know anyone In fact, one of the biggest criticisms of Donald Trump is, why didn't he do it last time? Why didn't he do things last time? Why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? Because the funny thing is if you want a really great leader, doesn't micromanage, right? A really great leader comes in, he puts his people in play, and then he lets them run whatever department they're in. That's a good leader. That's good leadership. It's good management. Unfortunately, he's going to have to cut down the size of government this time. So he is going to know, for the most part, the people that are in those positions. And the funny thing is he fired a bunch of people. Have you noticed how butthurt they are? Like, they are so offended that they all turn around and attack him. Like, there's no reflection. Jitters Goggins says, hi, Mr. Marsden. Thank you for your courage for speaking against the mob. Appreciated your role as Slater in Resident Evil. R.I.P. Thank you. You know what's funny about that film? I actually still have the suit from that. I took the suit with me. And for those of you that haven't seen it, I'm working with Ian Glenn, and we shot it down in Mexico City. It's very interesting. When I went down to Mexico City, I had a bodyguard, and he got to be 300 pounds. And I'm like, at that point, I was doing a lot of running. In fact, when I was down there shooting that, it was the time of the World Cup. Remember when Zidane headbutted the other guy? And I was running on a treadmill. I was doing a 2-hour run on a treadmill. And I was thinking, this guy, like, what's he going to do? Right? He's not going to, like, be able to run and save me. And then I realized he was carrying. He was carrying a gun. I'm like, you know, you got to be fast to beat a bullet. Jim, thank you so much. Look at that. Please, if Jim gave you a membership, go thank him. Go thank him. These are the people that are building the community, and it's amazing to watch. So if you guys are watching on X, get over there, like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. I keep saying it. Show them that you're being involved. You can still watch on X, right? We love Elon. Elon's the man. But there is method in the madness to going over and subscribing. And I see this all the time where, you know, you guys have seen me when I've got 5,000 views, 2 subscribers. I'm like, that's the conversion rate, right? Like, that's shockingly bad, right? Shockingly bad. And we need to encourage people to get involved because they are going to come for this platform. They are going to do it. We do need to reach other people that we wouldn't normally reach, that wouldn't come on Twitter. X. Still weird calling it X. Do you guys still call it Twitter, or do you call it X? But yeah, we're building something. We're building something. You guys are coming in. Well, I've already got my plank owners, I'm afraid, up to the 10,000. Those were the plank owners. Like, they're the OGs that were there from the beginning. And I still see there's mainly 350, 400 people that are solid, that love to tune in. And I feel like I'm getting to know them. I kind of know their personalities, which is why I keep looking down here and looking at the chats, because I start seeing my peeps pop up. And you see the people that are the warriors, right? Like, they're the ones that are like, whoa, warriors. They're in there, like, pushing it on. I get people going into the algorithm. I don't even know what that means, but they do it. And I'm like, great. I do feel like the old man now that's like, hello, young kids, come and teach me how to work this VHS machine. But now it's like, I just hacked the Pentagon. These kids are amazing. And that's why we've got to give them a future. They deserve to be able to go and play in the streets like we did. They deserve... I mean, how amazing would it be if we right now still had the gun safety course at our schools, where guys drove up in their pickup trucks with their guns, with their Mossbergs or their Remingtons, like, on the rack. It wasn't that long ago that happened, and everybody was fine. Everybody was fine. There were no big school shooters. Because maybe, just maybe, it's not the guns. Maybe, I don't know, just call me crazy. Maybe it's mental health. Maybe it's putting kids on antidepressants when they don't need it. Maybe it's putting people on ADD medication when actually the kids should be outside running around. This is the problem. Boys are not meant to be sat behind desks. They're not. Don't get me on a rant. I'm not going to go on a rant. But boys should not be stuck behind desks. They should be able, if you've got an unruly kid in your class, send him out, tell him to run around the field twice and let him come back in. Right? That's it. They're not girls. I think it was the great Vicky Thorne was saying to me, I interviewed her once and she said, they asked a bunch of boys and a bunch of girls at school to open up their desks, take out a piece of paper and write their name and draw something on the piece of paper. And all the girls did it but all the boys opened the desk and they were throwing stuff at each other. Stop trying to make boys girls, right? There is a difference and that's okay. That's okay. Boys are rambunctious. That's what they're meant to be. You want that because they're the guys that are going to jump out of the landing craft at Normandy. Wired different. That's okay. So, Department of Education, gone. Gonzo, see ya, boom, gone. EPA, gone. Your alphabet agencies, shrinkity, shrinkity, shrink. Shrink, 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 shrink. You can't get rid of them, not right now. There's still a lot of stuff going on, but you can shrink them. If you guys haven't been to Washington, D.C., just go and walk around and look at the buildings, and you see these buildings that are like a block long, and it's like the EPA. You're like, what? And has the EPA made anything better? Has the Department of Education made anything better? And this is how disingenuous the left is. They go, they want to get rid of the Department of Education. They're anti-education. No, we're actually pro good education. We need craftsmen, right? We need mechanics. We need to incentivize the trades. We need to start building things here. The fact that the majority of our medication is from China is insane. Yeah, Department of Energy, that will be the first one to be like, gone. Can you imagine their face with Elon Musk walking in there? He'll take the kitchen sink, he'll take the bath, he'll take the toilet, he'll take everything in there and go, you guys are done. Amazing. Gone. Don't even get me on what we can do to Congress. What was it? FEMA had something about equality. Like, what? Just save people and be efficient, because we all know that you're not, right? All right, we got here. Bad News Badger. What is that DKK? I'm not sure what that is, but I love it. The most frightening for me is that I think Harris is insane. I also think Trump is insane. I can't vote, but no matter who wins, it's going to have a massive influence on my country. Where are you? Where's DKK? Is that Denmark Krona? Is that a Krona? Bad News Badger? So, I don't think either of them are insane. I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you on this. And I'll tell you why. I think that she's very low IQ. She's very low IQ. Low cucumber, I call her. I don't think that she's very smart. I genuinely don't. I think there are other people that are very... I said this yesterday. I think that Tulsi Gabbard... If we had Tulsi Gabbard on the Democrat side, we'd be in a lot of trouble. But she's on our side because she's sane. So I think that Kamala Harris is a complete empty vessel. I think in the same way that Joe Biden was an empty vessel, I think that his cognitive faculties went a long time ago. A long time ago. And I just think that Kamala Harris is, I mean, look at how she's got where she's got, and nobody really wants to talk about it. We talk about it, but it's kind of frowned upon when it shouldn't be frowned upon, right? But the truth is that she was I'm not even going to talk about her early career, like you guys know, but she was the number one unlikable person on the presidential debate stage. Didn't you call Joe Biden a racist? I think she called Joe Biden a racist. She called him something. I know that. So I don't think she's crazy. I think she's stupid. And I think that she was a throwaway candidate. And it's just through circumstances that allowed them to win last time. I don't think she's smart at all. So there's that. And do I think that Trump is insane? Not at all. I don't think he is at all. I think what he does is he has negotiating tactics. I've said this over and over. Little Rocket Man, he said, I've got a red button. And I said, I've got a red button too. But mine's bigger. Negotiating tactic. Brilliant. Brilliant. You can imagine him going into a New York, a deal on a New York thing. No, I'm not going to do it. No, let that building fall. And everyone's like, no. He's like, oh, well, maybe I'll help you. It's just the art of the deal. And I don't understand how people don't get that. They haven't seen that. And if you think he's insane, bad news. And again, I don't know if you're getting like all the, I understand why you might think that because of the coverage that he gets on by the European press. But I don't think he's at all. I think that he's actually quite the opposite. I think he's sometimes he talks in a way that, and the left obviously has a field day with it, right? And they take it, when you break it down and you see the way what he's actually said, they've taken it the wrong way. And the way that he's dealt with what has been thrown at him has been utterly ridiculous. Suze D, look at this. Suze has just gifted 10 Matthew Marsden channel memberships. Please thank Suze D. Thank you, Suze D, very much. Go thank Suze for that. I have the most brilliant subscribers. I'm just telling you. And members. I'm just saying. They're very good looking. Probably the most best looking people. Some people say. Yeah, that would be. Thank you, Suze D. We're building something here, and that's amazing. I love it. It's really exciting for me because it's very rare that you get to do something like this where you interact with someone and it's like live, it's real time, right? So you're reacting with them and they're reacting to you and they're saying, yes, like carry on or do this or do that. It shows like how there's such a lack of integrity and common sense. Because that's all that we talk about really is like real common sense things. And I think, though, that sometimes when you hear it from someone else, and certainly someone who's got like a platform, you kind of go, yeah, you know what? I thought that for a long time and okay. And that's where the left comes along and they try and delegitimize you, even though they bow to the foot of Hollywood, right? They bow to them. It's funny. It makes me laugh. And I've always felt that, that coming from a working class background, just a regular, normal background. I mean, like I said, my mom was a single parent. Kind of gives me a different angle on these things because, I've had it to me, oh, you're white privilege. I'm like, what, me? Our white privilege? What are you talking about? I had to have free school meals growing up. It was embarrassing. I had to go and see about getting. I remember once we did go to do this, like get secondhand shoes because we had no shoes. My mum couldn't afford it. But she always made it. She always gave everything. It's really amazing. And what that does is it gives you an appreciation of things and people. And you try and understand what people are going through. You know, these people that they put down, that's my family. Foundry workers, cleaners. I was about to drop the F-bomb then, but I didn't. When people think that if you don't have a college degree, that you're somehow less. That's why I loved it when the truckers were like, we're not playing this. You want to bring the country to a standstill, right? Piss the truckers off. The guys that the left likes to mock. Listen, I worked at a store called Sainsbury's in the UK and I used to clean up the produce. I used to have to take out all the, where all the fruit was. You pull off where the fruit was and there's these stands. You had to take those stands off and then get down behind and clean all that out. I did that. I also worked as a butcher in a market that's still there right now. The market's still there. Made concrete, lampposts. Did that with my white privilege. I had to, when I moved schools and I went to a place called St. Philip's College, which is actually where Tolkien went to school for a while. I had to walk 20 minutes, get a bus, then get one bus into the centre of Birmingham, then get another bus out. And I would often, like if I missed one of those buses, that was it. Or if one came a little bit early, I was screwed. So I got kicked out of my English literature class. It's kind of funny because all the people that were doing the A-levels with me knew that the guy like just totally hated me. And he knew that I had to come from a very far distance away. And it wouldn't matter. Like as far as he was concerned, I would have to leave at 5 o'clock in the morning and then sit outside for hours and hours and hours. That white privilege. You know, you never forget, right? You never forget your childhood. You never forget the people that you grew up with. You never forget that the environment that you were built in. And you know what? We had nothing. It's a cliche. We had nothing, but it was awesome. My friends, still my friends today. You guys know who you are listening in. Still my friends today. They needed me, I'll be there. Even though I've gone away. Like I said, when I went back recently, I had a friend of mine, Alan, giving you props, and Andy, if you're watching, they were like, keep talking, keep talking. They didn't go, oh, he's gone all Hollywood, he's gone away, like, who does he think he is? And they're like, no, you're one of us, man, you're always one of us, and we're proud of you. And that's what matters. Like, that's when you have true humility and you understand that someone's crawled and clawed their way up. And I go back and I know them. I know them. And they know me. Salt of the earth, man. When you come from that, it's the greatest thing. And the funny thing is, I see all these people in Hollywood trying to kind of LARP as coming from the streets and come from a difficult area and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why do you keep going on about it? Like, I never used to talk about it at all. Because you just wanted to get on with it. It doesn't determine where you are going to be. And you know what? There's part of me, honestly, there's part of me that when I go back, I'm like, I'm kind of envious of this. I'm kind of envious of the community and the family. Now I'm so far away. Auto Venom says, any thoughts on Newsom doubling California film tax credits? What's he going to do? He's one of the worst governors. It's been dying. Let me tell you this. I've said it over and over, and conservatives, investors don't get it, right? Now is the time. Now is the time to flip it, because Hollywood is dying. Hollywood is dying. That's why you're seeing them getting more and more desperate. You know who isn't desperate? And it's not because he's got $1 kajillion. It's Tom Cruise. Do you know why Tom Cruise isn't desperate? Because he makes movies that people want to go and see. Shock! Shock! Nobody works harder than that man. Let me tell you. And you know, he appreciates everybody. He appreciates the fans. He appreciates the people on set. I know somebody who worked with him, and they pulled up and he was there like making coffee for people. He's like, got this nice fancy coffee machine. What do you want? And they were like, Tom, you got to be on stage. You know, you got to be on set soon. And he's like, I just got to make this coffee for this person. I've never heard anyone say a bad thing about Tom Cruise. And that guy has got $1 kajillion, and he never has to work again. And he still pushes himself. Now, all the other stuff I don't care about. I'm just telling you about him, and his work ethic is amazing. And we have an opportunity right now to take that over, because Hollywood is dying. They're getting desperate. Because here's the thing. That's what makes them relevant. Their families aren't what makes them relevant. Their kids aren't what makes them. They have to be in the public eye. Feed me. Feed me. I'm a vampire. I'm an emotional vampire. I need it. I need it. And then you have other people that go like me, who are like, I don't give a shit. Doing the right thing is what matters, not being popular. Saying that, subscribe and like to my channel. But you know what I mean? It's not about being popular. If I wanted to be popular, I'd just shut my gob and carry on with it and bow to Moloch. That's the funny thing where people go, grifter, like what? I'm going to make like $50. It's not about that. We're in a situation where there's a lot of people that are disenfranchised. They don't have a voice. And then we get to say it, right? We get to have a community here and build this and show people, go do it. Oh, I have gone blurry. Is that because I did that? I don't know what's going on with this camera. Look at it. Is that better? Now listen, it's my soft lighting. It's my soft lighting. Oh, let me do this. Oh, good. I told you, when you start saying stuff, things start happening. This has not happened before. Look, there you go. Not going to bend the knee, guys. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You got to do things for a bigger cause, something that is transcendent. Even if you do it in your own little way. That's the thing. You just do it in your own little way. You guys coming here, doing a little thing. That's what I keep saying. Subscribe. It's just a little thing. But it matters. It does matter. Might not matter to you. Matters to me. Matters to the algorithm. Matters to other people who are looking, going, I'm going to stop soon because I don't want to go too far over the hour, because I'm very cognizant of your time. But I had a conversation with someone the other day, and they were like, I'm an actor. What do I do? Like, I'm an actor. What do I do? I'm going to go into Hollywood, and I'm a good Christian man. Am I going to be compromised? Yeah, you are, unless we build it for someone. James Hannibal. Question: how can a Trump administration help us make an alternative film production economy? I don't know if they can, but there are ways that we could do it in Texas. I mean, they could, in the sense that if they incentivized, if they gave tax breaks, I know people don't like it, but if they gave tax breaks, and I propose this, a whole way of, and thank you, by the way, James, a whole way of breaking down tax breaks that gives you added incentives if you have patriotic material, if you show a dad in good light, all those kind of things. It's very easy to do it. Malta, even Georgia, like Georgia has, if you have the peach on it, they give you an extra 5%. Malta, I think it's 5%, but if you go to Malta and you shoot Malta as Malta, they'll give you an additional percentage. And that makes a big deal, because if you've got an investor that's going to put $1 million in, and you know that you can get even as much as 40% back on a tax rebate, right? They're going to make $400,000 back, so they're only $600,000 on risk, right? The difference between that and like 45%, that's a lot of money. Here's the thing, Visinger is talking about crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, for the most part, doesn't really work. You have to get people like really like fired up about something. And this is one of the reasons why I keep talking about subscribing, because if someone is not going to subscribe, let's just say if I had the 171,000 people who follow me on X, follow me on YouTube, and I could see that there was a movement, I could see that there was a call to action that people would do it, I could ask for a crowdfunding. And I've had it before. I said, maybe I should go and do a movie, right? If I got $10 per person, you can make a movie. You can make a really decent movie. But the way I look at it is, I can't get 10% of the people that follow me on X to come and follow me over on YouTube. So that is unfair, right? To burden, which is about 5% of the people who are engaged. It's unfair to burden them with that. And then when you fail, if you put a number up and you don't get that number, then people are even less likely to believe in the project. So it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing, that's not going to work, right? But if you get 1 million followers, like I said, to, people like Brandon Herrera and people like Cody, Donut Operator, those guys, even Rhetoric, and those guys, if they wanted to do a movie, they could do a movie. They have the pull to ask people, and people love them and support them because they know that they are legitimate guys. They could raise the money and go and make a movie. But I'm not there yet. All right. And so we're trying to build incrementally. But I think that giving some kind of tax breaks for certain moral issues without it being cheesy, that's the problem, because a lot of people that are making these movies, come on, guys, you know this, you don't want to watch them. You'll kind of go, okay, I'll support it because it's a cause. But then you're like, it's not a good film. Jim was talking about Star Trek. It's Star Trek. You've got a name. We're not doing that. We're starting from nothing. Zephyr, I am always concerned that people aren't going to want to tune in. Well, I'm not really concerned, but because I'm going to do it anyway. But I don't know, mate. I think that people have overkill, and that's what I've been very cognizant of. Like I said before, I only did this because someone asked me to, and I'm very grateful for that. And I really love the interactions. I really do. And, seeing the people that are out there, like in the fight, is awesome. And it really sends a message. Like, I don't think people, again, I keep going on about this, but you guys do not understand how powerful that message is, and the way that people watch it. And they're like, ooh, because they can easily turn around and say, well, Matt Marsden, he was an actor, now he's trying to do this, and he's got and he's failing and blah. And it doesn't matter, right? Because, I could go out and make all this different content, but that's not the point of what we're trying to do. SAS777, hosting with George. I'm doing stuff with George. I'm going out, I've done some stuff with George the Giant Slayer. He's awesome. I was meant to actually do something this weekend with him, but it didn't work out. I'll tell you what I am doing, guys. Friday Night Tights. I know we've spoken about it a lot, but I'm actually going to be doing Friday Night Tights. So that'll be great. But again, look, I do think that I'd like to think that I have something to offer to you guys, because I have kind of a unique perspective as an immigrant that has maybe a different social trajectory, like, coming from a very working class situation, to come over to appreciate everything about America and what it offers and what it allows you to do. So, I'd like to think that it's not just another talking head, right? So, of course, I would love to grow the channel. I would love for it to have more reach and to inject a little bit more sanity in the world. Saying that, technically I've been on for an hour and a half, even though I had problems. You guys, for those of you that do believe, please pray for me, because when these things happen, it does make you think whether it's a spiritual battle, right? Because I've got to tell you, I'll tell you guys sometime some wacky stuff that's happened to me in the past. But I'm very grateful for you. Not all actors are like this. And I know you guys know that when I say that, it's because the majority of them are. But again, we are tackling things on here, chatting about just regular stuff. Some of the things that might really, really affect our lives. And I hope that I bring value to you. I really do. I hope I bring value to you. So with that in mind, it's been over an hour. I've had no Trevor, which is, I don't know why. Maybe he's like, you did 3 hours the other night. Like, what are you doing? So with that in mind, I want to thank you all. Thank you all for being patient while I've had my technical issues. And remember, not all actors are like this. I promise. I'll see you on Wednesday. Thank you very much.